You know, the line between a crazy conspiracy theory and a terrifying government secret is a lot thinner than you might think. For decades, the idea that the CIA was running mind control experiments was written off as just paranoia, until it was proven true. The theory that the government was secretly poisoning its own people was called absurd, until it was proven true. So, what ideas that sound like fiction today will be tomorrow's headlines? We're about to explore the conspiracies that were once laughed at but are now a matter of historical record. And it all begs the question, what are they hiding from you right now? Let's start with something that's supposed to be a pillar of a free society, the press. For years, a chilling theory made the rounds, that the CIA was secretly using major journalists and media outlets to push its own propaganda. It sounds like a spy thriller, right? The very news you trust being used as a tool for an intelligence agency. For a long time, most people dismissed it as a paranoid fantasy. But the reality was way more shocking. In 1975, a special Senate committee led by Senator Frank Church started digging into abuses by U.S. intelligence agencies. What the Church Committee found was that the CIA had in fact been cultivating relationships with journalists and media outlets for propaganda purposes during the Cold War. While there's no declassified document officially outlining a grand, coordinated program called Operation Mockingbird, this is the name that has become attached to these activities. The committee's investigation confirmed that the CIA had secret relationships with dozens of American journalists and news organizations who acted as assets. They would help plant stories or spread narratives that served the agency's goals in the fight against the Soviet Union. The Church Committee found the CIA maintained a network of individuals around the world who could be used for propaganda. The line between journalism and intelligence had become dangerously blurry. So a theory that was once laughed off the stage was substantially confirmed by a congressional investigation. The very people meant to hold power accountable were, in some cases, secretly working with it. It just goes to show, sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones worth a second look. Picture this, a secret plot, born in the heart of American high finance, to overthrow a sitting US president and install a dictator. It sounds like a movie script, not a piece of American history. But back in 1933, that was the explosive allegation. A group of wealthy businessmen panicked by President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal policies were allegedly planning a military coup. At the time, the idea was so wild that a lot of people just couldn't take it seriously. The New York Times even called it a gigantic hoax. But the truth started to surface thanks to one of America's most decorated military heroes, Major General Smedley Butler. Butler, a two-time Medal of Honor recipient, went public with an incredible story. He testified before Congress that a bond salesman representing a group of powerful financiers had approached him. Their plan? To create a private army of 500,000 veterans, march on Washington, D.C., and force Roosevelt out of power, with Butler as their strongman leader. A special House committee, the McCormick-Dickstein Committee, investigated Butler's claims. While the media mostly downplayed it, the committee's final report was stunning. It stated that it had received evidence that certain persons had made an attempt to establish a fascist organization in this country. The report concluded, there is no question that these attempts were discussed, were planned, and might have been placed in execution when and if the financial backers deemed it expedient. Nobody was ever prosecuted, but Congress itself confirmed that these dangerous conversations had absolutely taken place. What many wrote off as a tall tale turned out to be a very real scheme, verified by a congressional committee. It's a chilling reminder that threats to democracy don't always come from overseas. Sometimes they come from right here at home, backed by incredible wealth and power. July 1947. A rancher near Roswell, New Mexico, stumbles upon a field of bizarre debris. The local Air Force base puts out a jaw-dropping press release. They've recovered a flying saucer. The story goes viral, 1940s style. But then, within 24 hours, the military changes its tune completely. The official story now? The object was just a plain old weather balloon. A simple mistake. For decades, that was the government's line. The theory that they were covering up a crashed alien ship became the bedrock of UFO folklore. But the official story never wavered, just a weather balloon. But the truth, when parts of it were finally declassified, was something else entirely. It wasn't aliens, but it was a massive cover-up. What really crashed in the New Mexico desert was a top-secret device from Project Mogul. This was a highly classified program using high-altitude balloons with sensitive microphones to spy on the Soviet Union's nuclear program. The technology was so secret, the US couldn't risk the Soviets finding out about it. So they lied. The initial flying saucer story was probably a genuine panicked mistake by a local officer, but the weather balloon explanation that followed was a deliberate deception to protect a crucial Cold War spy project. It took nearly 50 years for the Air Force to finally come clean in the 1990s, admitting the debris was from Project Mogul and that the original story was a cover. The Roswell incident wasn't proof of little green men, but it was definite proof of a government conspiracy to hide the truth from its own citizens. Of all the conspiracies that turned out to be real, none are quite as disturbing as Project MKUltra. The theory was pure science fiction. The CIA was secretly conducting horrific mind control experiments on its own citizens. For years this was just a whisper, a fringe belief for people on the very edge. Then, in 1975, the Church Committee investigations blew the whole thing wide open, and the truth was more horrifying than anyone had imagined. Project MKUltra was absolutely real. It started in 1953, with the goal of developing techniques for brainwashing and psychological torture, partly because they feared the Soviets were already doing it. Under the banner of research, the CIA ran hundreds of secret experiments across more than 80 institutions, including universities, hospitals, and prisons. They used hypnosis, sensory deprivation, electroshock, and all kinds of abuse to try and control people's minds. But their most notorious tool was LSD. The agency gave high doses of the drug to unwitting subjects, mental patients, prisoners, and ordinary people who could not fight back, as one agent later admitted. In one documented case from Kentucky, a mental patient was reportedly given LSD for 174 days straight. One of the most infamous sub-projects, Operation Midnight Climax, involved CIA-funded brothels, where agents drugged men without their knowledge, and then watched their reactions from behind two-way mirrors. The program was so secret that in 1973, the CIA director tried to destroy all the records. He almost succeeded, but a small number of financial documents were misfiled and survived, later uncovered by a Freedom of Information Act request. Those papers, along with sworn testimony, provided undeniable proof that this state-sanctioned nightmare was real. Operation Mockingbird, the business plot, Roswell, MKUltra. These aren't just spooky stories, they are documented historical facts that were once brushed aside as crazy conspiracy theories. They show a clear and disturbing pattern of powerful groups going to incredible lengths to hide the truth and shape reality. Now these events happened decades ago. The files were eventually declassified, the reports written, the secrets got out, but it makes you wonder, doesn't it? These are just the conspiracies we know about. What secrets from the 80s, 90s, or even the 2000s are still locked in a vault, waiting for their 50-year declassification timer to run out? History has shown us again and again that questioning the official story isn't just justified, it's essential. The secrets of the past are a warning for the future. They prove that what sounds like a wild theory today could easily be tomorrow's terrifying truth. So, the next time you hear a story that seems too unbelievable to be true, remember these examples. Remember that the truth is often stranger and far more hidden than we can imagine. What do you think is a conspiracy happening right now that will one day be proven true? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to keep questioning the world around you, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.